joining us. Jackie, are you with us?
Yes. Hi, good morning.
Jackie, thank you so much. So, Stefan Mihailu, who's a good friend of ours, said, you got to interview Jackie. And Jackie, tell us about, you're out in the Hamburg area, and tell us about some of the stuff that you're finding. Is it the Hamburg School District?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
So I've heard a little bit about this, and I was telling Mike, and Mike came in with some videos. He goes, "Did you see this? Did you see this?" I said, "I haven't. I've really been trying to detach myself a little bit at night from some of the craziness that's out there, and trying to sort of take a brain refresher." But tell me a little bit about what's going on in Hamburg and what you guys are finding.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm a parent of 3 in the Hamburg district. I've been attending board meetings for over a year. I also recently had an election campaign for Board of Education. And after I did not win that, I started a Moms for Liberty chapter here in Erie County. But the specific topic we're talking about today is in my home district of Hamburg. My son is going into 9th grade. He's in an advanced English class. And one of the other moms of the student in the class said, "Have you seen the list of books that is suggested for reading for the summer?" And I hadn't, because it was given directly to the students, not to the parents. So I pulled that list, and together her and I started researching them and realized that many of the books on the list had very explicit content. We then had a board meeting last week, and myself and another parent attended, and that parent read some of the explicit material. And it's basically falling on deaf ears. We've emailed the teacher, principal, and talked to the superintendent, and they are standing behind the list. So
that's unreal, because I saw some of the content that you sent over. It's disgusting. It is literally disgusting. And
it's pornography is what it is. It
absolutely is. And nobody, it is funny because, talking to some of the folks about this over the week, they're like, well, what age? And I'm like, what, does it matter? Does it matter? Guess what? If my daughter's a senior, I don't want her reading this garbage. You know what I want her learning? If she's got an extra minute in school, teach her how to balance a checkbook. Talk to her about assets minus liability, or something she's going to be structurally able to use to better her life. I don't want her reading pornography in any school district at any age. Right. Disgusting. Absolutely.
Right. And some of the... Go ahead, sorry.
The fact that you point this out, and Mike and I was talking before the show. I said, could it be could you see a mess up where like the teacher goes, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that went through. I'm sorry." Right? Very different than "we're going to support this." That's disgusting, and these dirtbags need to be called out for it.
Right. And 2 things to your point there. First of all, is that as we posted this online, we are getting kickback from parents who are saying, well, they hear worse on the bus, or they hear worse on TikTok or Snapchat. That may be true, but there's no place for this in an educational setting, and we should have better boundaries and better expectations of what our children are learning.
What's wrong with those parents? What is wrong with the parent to say that, by the way?
Right.
Well, it could be worse. No, guess what? It could be better. We could do a lot better.
Well, second to your point as well, on this assigned reading list, the teacher did have a quick note on there that some of this content may be mature and that the students should talk to their parents about it and not read a book that they weren't comfortable with. But my question to the teacher, the principal, and the superintendent was, first of all, this wasn't given to the parents to make the decision. It was given to the students. So are the parents even seeing the assignment, or are they just being told, I need to buy this book? And secondly, if the teacher knew that there was explicit content, instead of just listing each of the books and the authors, why couldn't she take a step further and just say, hey, here are the books that deal with oral sex, masturbation, rape, forced oral sex? Like, could she not have at least given us an idea? Because many parents, especially at the high school level, we trust our teachers and our administration that they wouldn't be providing this. So, no, I'm not going to take the time to go through every single book and research it. But that's exactly what I had to do.
And Jackie, do you mind holding over in a minute or so if we go to another break? But before we do, I do have a quick question for you. What's funny is you brought up the social media thing. Oh, they see worse on social media. Well, what does that tell us? Social media is probably a problem, right?
Right.
Well, let's start there.
Instead of fixing the problem, though, it's always making excuses for the stupidity that's happening in these school districts.
Right. Like sexting on cell phones and through social media is not good for young kids. It's not good for anybody, but let alone young kids in their formative years, right?
Jackie, hold with us. I know you've got a group, Moms for Liberty chapter. I want you to be able to plug some of that. We need to get people supporting. We need to get people behind you, and we'll do that on the other side of the break.
I'm still on the line here with Jackie Bass, talking a little bit about some education issues here in Hamburg. Jackie, I know you wanted to comment on the cell phone and the children thing.
Yeah, so some parents on social media have been saying, again, that, our kids see worse on TikTok or Snapchat. My response to that is, I have a 14-year-old going into 9th grade. We have parental restrictions on his phone. We can see what he's doing. We limit his data, and his phone gets plugged into our kitchen at 9 p.m. every night. So does that mean he's not seeing everything? No, of course we can't, stop everything and anything. But I think the idea that kids just get a cell phone at, 10 or 11 years old and they have full range of it is the majority of the problem in the society. So I just wanted to hit on that. It's still a parent's responsibility just because they have a cell phone.
Yeah, God forbid you pay attention, right? Like that's like a bad thing these days, to pay attention to these things.
And I think there's certain places where look at, you're going to try to protect your kids and educate your children on what they might see on the bus or what their buddies might be saying. You don't need to hear that from a teacher, right? That's
right.
That's the safe place. Like, I should be able to go in to a reading class and not expect them to learn about porn. Simple. To me, this is 1 + 1 = 2. Real simple.
And I want to hit on that real quick, Mike and Jackie. I'd like your thoughts on it. I mean, what's so amazing to me is, I don't want to talk about sex with adults, let alone with children if I was a teacher. I just don't understand why this is like this new thing. Like, let's talk about, sexual relations with our students that are maybe 6, 8, 10, 15 years old. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Absolutely. I mean, some of these quotes were so explicit. When my mother-in-law was asking me about it, I had to just text them to her. I couldn't even read them to her in person because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And the real question here is, some of the parents and even the teacher said that part of the reason is they need to talk about these topics because it's part of our students' reality. And my question to her was, well, one of the scenes that was actually read at the board meeting was of forced oral sex, a girl being forced. And if that is any of our students' reality, which I hope it's not, but dear God, if it is, how in the world would reading an explicit part of a book about the same experience be helpful?
Right.
Wouldn't that be triggering? Wouldn't that cause problems? And what if, again, the parent wasn't even aware? What if the parent bought this book because it's on the list? Her and her mom were not even aware that this scene was in the book. God forbid she had already been forced to complete this, and then she reads this in a book. How horrible.
Outrageous. Shame on the school, but now the school board is saying this is okay. They're supporting this.
So the school board speaks through the superintendent. We never hear from the board members, only the superintendent. He has called myself and the other parent who actually read the stuff, and they are standing behind the list. They're saying, that it has literary value, and if I do not want my son to read those books, he can pick any other book that he would like. My response to that is, well, that helps my one situation. But again, as a chair of Moms for Liberty of Erie County, I'm here for all children and all parents to be able to have the information they need to make these informed decisions about their own children.
Yeah, absolutely. How do people get involved in helping you, Moms for Liberty? How do they become a member of this chapter?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So momsforliberty.org is our national website. You can click to find your chapter, and there's a map. You'll just click on the Erie County section of the map, and that'll link you right to our website. You can register to become a member. We also have a public page on Facebook and Instagram, Moms for Liberty-Erie, New York. And once you become a member, we have a private member page as well where we'll share some more actions and things that you can do to get started.